Okay, so I know I shouldn't be doing this, but I'm going to go for a 33% quality on my video and see what happens with that. It probably won't work, but we'll see. So the subject I was going to get into just at the tail end of my last entry here on my vlog on Ustream was this thing I call free data. And free data is just a sort of a word I made up in my music, actually. Well, I guess somewhere between my music and my theories coming out of computer science and observations of the field and this sort of thing. But anyways, the idea there is that data is just simply made to be free, so circumventing and controlling data is not really an issue of law or a point of contention to be dealt with through government, but is sort of natural, or if you will, the antithesis of what data really is. So where free data splits from, I think, the more liberal point of view regarding the free movement of data, like in a commons type of sense, is that, well, I mean, I was thinking of it the other day because I was working on my music, and I'm kind of just at a final turning point in the writing of this mega album project I've been working on for the past few years. And so just, without getting into that, what it's basically about is the difference between where I'm coming from creatively and where I see a lot of those in music who sort of try to conform and always seem to fail and stumble and just falling flat on their faces with the internet and communication with computers and MP3s and the whole thing. And the difference has to do with origination and where originality comes from and what we really mean by that. And what I find by and large is that people who lack that common sensibility really tend to be coming from a standpoint of a belief that music is something that comes from the human voice, which it isn't. Music comes from the human voice, and it comes from a thing called the musical instrument, which is outside of the body. Very important, not just in terms of music and history, but also in terms of the politics of the age we've lived in for a couple of centuries easily now. And so what happens to you when you ascribe to this notion that it all comes from your voice is that you fall into the trappings of wanting to oversimplify your instrumentation, which is overlooking half of what all music is about, at least, if not more. And so what ends up being the result of that is that we need to progress into creating music with computers. Fine. We need to computerize our instruments. Maybe you believe that, maybe you don't. I mean, a century ago we were having the same conversation leading eventually to the electric guitar pickup, I believe invented by Rickenbacker, which then helped us to electric guitar with the use of electrical amplification. Well, with the digital, there is this distraction towards cutting, creating a unique riff, sampling, making clips. Now, if you don't know what I mean by that, it means you're basing your phone. Now, ringtones can mean like a clip from a song, but technically what that's called is a sample. Excuse me. Because you basically have some kind of sound table in your cell phone, which, you ignite the table, and whatever's on that table is sounded, and you're putting on that your ringtone. You can do the same thing in a device called a sampler, which allows you to connect it to a music keyboard and play various notes of that tone, which can be really fun, but also a little disingenuous of music, because in reality that comes down to a more glorified version of electrification and doesn't produce any sort of digitization or computerization. In other words, it can just be based in a chip rather than the use of a computer, which involves processing between mathematical calculations and memory, along with your input-output devices. This is all very common to people who are digital musicians, and there's not very many of us, but also very common, of course, with all of the computer experts and nerds which litter the internet today like so much chaff. But politically, we're led to believe that it's all about copyright. Well, of course, if you're sampling songs that originate from somewhere else, you're going to have copyright issues, obviously, because you're making copyright the central conversation, or what copyright emanates from, which is connected to power. What it comes down to ultimately is that the production of a unique tone from an instrument, even your voice with unique words, is completely ignored in place of this very, I would say, over-spirited conversation with the human voice being at the center. And it's not totally coincidental that we speak the English language in an Anglo-American situation there. But leaving that aside, or point, what the electric guitar is to electricity is what Yamaha's DX7 is to computing and the digital. Then, sound card technology of desktop computers is very much connected with more of an analog electronic approach. I think there is this distraction now with the digitization of electric guitars. I believe the Gibson company is leading that charge. And again, you're taking something that already works fine and trying to computerize it rather than creating something new. If there's any failing I find with the DX7 is that it's still connected to the keyboards and not connected with simple input-output devices, but there still is that computerization. So even though the DX7 is considered a keyboard, technically the keyboard is just another input device among 3 input devices that you can connect, which include and then other kinds of wheels that you can use for your digital interaction with the central processing unit. So I don't know if this is of any use in terms of video streaming, because it's very easy, I think, to relate music to anything in life, like that. Making tones, which means you're generating sound from the computer rather than just producing a sample and then, trying to make it more original using a computer, where the computer, I would say, in one sense, it's harder because not many people are going to be doing it, so look for something like that. But in the other sense, if you're true to the science of computing and you are observant of what video streaming is really about on that level, you can't go wrong and you can't make any mistakes. But again, you're going to have to be patient, and you're not going to be popular because there's no one really doing it. The best thing you can do, I guess, is sort of be like, I don't know, like super original, or, you know, create some sort of spectacle out of yourself or something. But that's just clowning around. Anyways, see how this worked out. I've got my video quality at 33% and my audio quality at half. So if this didn't work, I might just delete it and redo this. Anyways, ciao for now.